Tony's Show of the Day.
It's Tony's week, it's Show of the Day. I'm wearing flannel, we're talking about Hello Dolly. One of the things I find so fascinating about this production is that Hello Dolly has kind of become a period piece, but not in the traditional way. Usually we talk about period pieces with something like The Grapes of Wrath, where it was written about a time, and now we are long past that time, and so, like, we're drawing connections between where we live now and the people in the story. Hello Dolly is a period musical, in that when you go to see it, you're not particularly remembering the time when Horace Vandergelder and Dolly Levi lived, and you're more remembering, like, this kind of invented, like, good old-fashioned musical theater. And it's, you know, it is good old-fashioned musical theater, but we've had a revival of Hello Dolly maybe every decade at least since it premiered, and so, you know, Dolly'll never go away again. She really just comes back a lot. And, like, they capitalized on this with all the promotion and the advertising for the show. Like, you look at all the stuff that comes out about it, and they're just trying really hard to make it look like all the other Hello Dolly promotional advertising that's ever happened. This is not a reinvented revival. It's not, you know... And I wonder if we're ever going to see that with Hello Dolly. Probably not. Like, do you think we're ever going to get the Deaf West production of Hello Dolly where they're all doing sign language on stage? Or we're going to get the, you know, all the actors play the instruments revival of Hello Dolly? Probably not. It's not that kind of show. It's a show that, like, you know... You made the sauce right the first time, and then everyone just keeps copying it. And, like, it's not up for best choreography this year because it's not eligible, because the choreography is pretty much just the original stuff. This fascinates me because with Hello Dolly, I don't mind it for some reason, but I know I mind it with things like the revival of Cats this year, which is also a very exact reproduction of the Cats that has always existed. Or Les Mis last year, you know, which actually was reinvented in a whole bunch of different ways, but I just didn't care for because in my mind I decided it was too original, but I don't mind it with Hello Dolly. I don't know, maybe it's something I just like more about this show. It's one of those, it's an inconsistency in... I know my own critical, logical reasoning about musical theater. And it's, you know, I've been turning it over in my mind a little bit. Anyway, the show is great, of course, because how could you go wrong with Bette Midler is Hello Dolly? Like, it is the star vehicle of star vehicles. It's Bette Midler who's perfect for this role right now in her life as a performer. Like, it's wonderful, and it's a show that will last just as long as they can keep putting big names above the marquee. I think I read Dolly Parton at some point that she might be coming in as a replacement, but who knows, that could also just have been someone misconstruing Hello Dolly and Dolly Parton. Fascinating to me, and I keep forgetting that David Hyde Pierce is Vandergelder in this production. And I don't know if I just see David Hyde Pierce too much as Niles Crane in my mind, but it was an interesting choice to me to cast him as a foil to Bette Midler's Dolly. Certainly you need a big name there, you know, but David Hyde Pierce was an interesting one. But from what I've heard and what I've seen, it looks like he's doing a fabulous job. And they gave him Penny in My Pocket, the cut song that they, you know, dusted off and pulled out of the trunk and put back in to start Act 2. That's maybe the newest thing that comes with this production. And it's, you know, it's an interesting choice because it starts Act 2, which normally starts with elegance, and so this is an old-timey musical with an A plot, Dolly and Vandergelder, and a B plot, Cornelius and Barnaby and Irene and, what's her name, Minnie. And Act 2 used to start with elegance, which focuses on the B plot, and I do think that their love story is perhaps one of the more interesting, heartwarming parts of this show, whereas, like, the Dolly Vandergelder one is a little more like the cut and dry. It's totally swapped. A lot of times, like, the A plot is the really sappy romantic bit, and the B plot is the comedic relief. But this show, I think, has a lot of the opposite. Most of Dolly and Vandergelder's actions are comedic, more so than the group of four, the B-plot couples. And so starting Act 2 with them, gives them their song, gives them that rousing thing, but now it starts with Penny in My Pocket, which is from the A-plot. And, these are the interesting choices of musical theater that, I'm maybe one of the only people in the world who thinks about, but you change the structure and the focus of your show by doing that shift. Of course you want to give David Hyde Pierce this number, of course you want to make it, a little more interesting, these are the reasons they made the choice, but it precipitates down in interesting ways to then have the second song be elegance, instead of it being, the curtains open and we see elegance at the beginning of Act 2. I don't know, this is things I think about as I fall asleep at night. Bits and bobs, the new orchestrations are great. They're gently massaged. You can hear the original there, but I like how there's a more prominent ukulele or banjo, or maybe both at a whole bunch of times, which this is the kind of show that needs that, of course, and it's under the original score, but now it's a little more elevated. Of course, you hear Penny in My Pocket come back now in some more underscoring, especially with the Waiter's Gallop. Orchestrations in this show, real good. I'm also really glad Bette didn't very much go down the Barbra Streisand route. This is much more Jerry Herman's score, whereas in the movie, it's very much Barbra Streisand's score. Babs is Babs. Babs can do Babs, of course. I'm glad Bette did Herman. The show's good, and you just showcase what's on the page, and she does a really, really good job of it, and just, taking her own little liberties here and there. I think maybe even less so than Carol Channing does, because, Carol Channing is maybe just on the verge of what I think qualifies as singing. Wonderful job, don't get me wrong, but it's Carol Channing. And then interestingly, this is the inside baseball. As of right now, Bette Midler will not be performing on the Tonys telecast, and of course there's drama surrounding that, because she is the title character in what is maybe one of the biggest front rows for the revival categories, and you want Dolly Levi to sing Hello Dolly to represent your show Hello Dolly on the Tonys. And so the question is, why? People are very mum on the subject. The Tony committee doesn't actually announce their performances beforehand, so this is all hearsay. But the word on the street is something about the walkway in front of the orchestra pit being so much bigger in Radio City Music Hall than it is in the actual theater where Hello Dolly is performed, that they feel as if the performance wouldn't be as great on that sort of stage, and the producer had offered to do a live from the stage performance, beamed into the studio or into Radio City and across America, and the Tony committee turned that down. They used to do that a whole bunch, but they do it less so now, which I actually think is a great choice. So, that's the given reason, but you always wonder, especially with a big name like Bette Midler above the title, what, is there something actually going on here? Is she nervous about performing in across a bigger stage? Hello Dolly, the steps are counted out in that song, so you make it all the way around in time, and if you have more steps, you take bigger strides. I don't know, there's something tickling me in that direction. I wonder if we'll hear more. I wonder if they'll change my mind. I'm also actually kind of really excited. If not her, then they'll do Penny in My Pocket with David Hyde Pierce, which, I'd also love to see. And it would be great if we have a now captured actual digital performance of that for future generations. So, who knows? Whatever the case, Hello Dolly, the revival, it's great. She's back where she belongs, although has she ever left? Up for debate. Go listen to it.